morning, good afternoon, good night, hello, good day, my dears. My name's Corinne. This is Soulshift Channeling, and I am here wishing you a happy Wednesday. And let's just jump right in. We're going to start with a little Chit Chat, channel check-in Chit Chat, which is just kind of shooting the shit. And sharing a little bit of what I'm observing and seeing the themes in my life right now, which I think can help orient people to a reader's space, because oftentimes we'll find ourselves linked up and synced up, and at least that's something that I see all the time with my clients. It's like, oh wow, we're going through a very similar thing right now, and in this kind of medium where we're not sitting face to face, we're sitting across time and space boundaries. I want to give you the opportunity to have some of that information to discern and kind of tune into the vibe, and help you make sure that you're getting the tightest, clearest reading that you can, which I think starts with attuning to like the reader-client attunement process. So this is my way of kind of giving that here, and also maintaining some transparency and sharing what's going on in my life to keep things balanced in this exchange. So we'll start with that. You can skip ahead if you like. Then I'll open up a channel connection. I use the Akashic Record. You don't need to know all this stuff. You can look at other videos. I'm going to stop doing this spiel all the time probably. But we'll start with a collective message, and then from there you can choose a individual reading. I think we're gonna have 4 today, but we'll see. It's always changes, and we'll see when we get in there. And then there's gonna be a collective message at the end. So you know how to use the navigation buttons below to figure out how to get to where you want to be. But I'm glad that you're here. Welcome, and happy hump day, y'all. Okay, so what I have been feeling into today is this sentiment. We're still in the winter season, or at least where I am in the Northern Hemisphere. We're very much in this slower paced, dark night, not dark night of the soul, but dark night time. And I happen to live in sunny Florida, which is different for me because it's not as cold and it's not as wintry as what I'm used to feeling growing up north. But the seasons tell it all the same. And so the rhythm and routines that I have been feeling this winter time have been a lot of sorting through tiny things, a lot of cleaning and clearing up energy on a more minute scale. A lot of like junk drawer energy. Like if you're cleaning and reorganizing the house, there are big things like you can go through and like move clothes from a space, or move furniture around, or hang pictures on the wall. And these things to me have big visual impact relative to like normal or moderate effort. You get to the junk drawer though, right? When you're clearing out the house, and it's just like, oh my gosh, all of these little tiny minuscule things. It's a small space. It's a medium to high amount of effort, but to me, energetically, to me, whew, I mean, chef's kiss. I've been doing a lot of this lately. I've been doing a lot of junk drawer cleaning, a lot of like physically and energetically, at my home and at my day job. And the impact is real. It's something that I feel like I always was aware of, and it's like I got satisfaction, but I'm recognizing the energetic impact of taking your attention and intention to find minute details, not on something that is clean and new that you're creating, right? There's one thing about building a project or sewing a dress or creating something writing a proposal and really getting in there and dotting the T's and crossing the T's and dotting the I's, when it's from brand new, like made from scratch. But it's something entirely different when you take the refuse, the discard, the slag, all the stuff that has been kind of like pushed into the corner psychologically, like going through it. This is not even belief systems to me. This is fragments of wounds. This is just those things that rocks you stub your toe on, right? That it's almost not worth it to like clear the whole field for. But that's where we're at this season. So the integrity that like the messiest place, the most chopped up, small, tiny energy leftover bits, cleaning that up, just you know how people say like raise the ceiling, like this raises the floor for me, because it's like the dirtiest thing, you know, it's the messiest thing, it's the baseline, right? And then when you raise the floor, it's a lot easier to raise the ceiling. You know, it's a lot when you raise the foundation, it's a lot easier to reach what used to be tall shelves, to reach things that you couldn't reach before because you're elevated. And this is a lot of the energy that I've been feeling. And so I love this work too, because when you're cleaning out a junk drawer, like, yes, it's tedious, it's time consuming. Some people would just rather throw it all away. And you can get so many tiny little minuscule tools. Like, yes, it's tiny bits of energy, it's tiny things, but that kind of precision, like when you're working on a project, when you're working on a new project, when you're creating something out, when you're trying to fine tune your life and you find yourself needing a little bit of energy, a little bit of tool, like, I mean, tweezers, maybe not tweezers, like safety pins or straight pins or eyeglass screwdrivers, right? It's like those things, there aren't really a lot of substitutions for that. And when you have that on deck, when you have that, you know you have it and you know where it is and it becomes accessible, then your ability to show up and fine tune your life is supported in a major way. And if you're anything like me, which like I do feel like is some Virgo energy, this I feel like is big Virgo energy right now of purification, purity, detail oriented, grounded in earth. It's so fun. It's so satisfying. I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. But anyway, one part of what I like about doing this work is it's a lot of sit down work. You know, it's not, you're not getting grimy. It's very grandmother energy of let me sit down with my skirt and lay some of these things in my lap as I go through them. It's up close focus, small field. And I just love that. I love that. I think it's fun. I think it can be enjoyable when we have time enough to slow down and really interact with and have capacity and bandwidth to communicate with all of those tiny things, because that's really what is going on, right? And that's why we hate the junk drawer. Is like, that's a lot of communication. That's a lot of stimulation. That's a lot of potential overwhelm when we're used to getting bigger bang for our bucks, energetically speaking. Like when I can spend a moderate amount of energy that doesn't have to be fine-tuned to get a big result, that gives me a bigger dopamine hit, right? Especially if we're moving fast. But this time of year when we're moving slower and we're in my mind recalibrating our dopamine sensors, our serotonin sensors, like we're missing a lot from the sun, right? So we're dealing with less, and it's kind of like dry January, right? If you ever choose to stop drinking or abstain from something, you become more sensitive to it when you resume again, right? And so when we're dealing with less energetics in our system, we're able to recalibrate, fine tune, and then move forward eventually with much more discernment on how much, what kind of energy we want to let into our lives, how much of our commitment we want to give to certain things, like what makes the cut and what doesn't, because we've just gone through the junk drawer. We've just gone through things that have been discarded, and you can tell a lot by your junk drawer of like, okay, are there mostly useful things in here? Is there a lot of trash in here? Is it just crumbs? Like, this tells me a lot of my habits and routines and how I can read and respond in my daily life differently to shift and change my experience of the junk drawer. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I've been, y'all. I'd love to hear what you're going through right now, what your habit and routines and patterns have been. Is this resonating with you? This is a video that I am recording a little bit more in advance than I usually do. So I'm wondering if by the time it comes out, if it's going to be pertinent. But I don't know. I find that it is, because, yeah, we all have different tune-ins with our people in the world, and sometimes I experience things later, and sometimes I experience things before, and sometimes it's all at the same time, right? But it'll just be interesting to see where our process is at here. So thanks for coming along for it. Let's go ahead and jump into channeled content. I'll start by opening up this connection and saying this blessing, and feel free to come along for the ride. Okay. My center with your center, our center with all centers. Our center is the one center. I enter the realm of masters, teachers, and loved ones of this collective and match our hearts and minds with theirs. Let us find, through joy and wisdom, the ability to open the universe and ourselves to greater possibility and deeper love. Eternal Source, fill our hearts with clarity and sacred power and show us this collective's place of balance. Hear us now as we become one with the whole. When we are complete, release us in love and admiration, keeping our energy raised. My records are open. Okay, slow opening today, y'all. All right, two things. The first thing I feel is, imagine you have to sew up a buttonhole, right? You know what a buttonhole looks like. And one would imagine, like the way I would do it is I would take a buttonhole. This one goes up and down. I would fold it so that way the buttonhole is raised, and I would whip stitch. I would just take a needle and thread and go over and over and over and over again into that hole to try and close it up. That's what's happening right now. Buttonholes are attachment points. And as humans with intricate lives and histories and traumas and ways of being, it just feels like it's right to sew the buttonhole up. Even if it doesn't get used that much, I just feel like there is an attachment point that you've been experiencing over and over and over again. And it's like, we don't think of it, but this buttonhole doesn't always have to get filled in by the button that's on this shirt, right? And I'm just seeing this picture or image of like other items of clothing, or I'm looking at a pillow right now here that has buttons sewn onto it decoratively, right? Those buttons don't ever go in buttonholes. They're not meant to. It's decoration. And I just feel like there are buttons going in this buttonhole that aren't meant to be there. And how silly would it be if I'm wearing a shirt with another shirt attached to it by a button, you know? Like if I took another button down shirt and put those buttons in here. And it just like, I don't know. It's just like, that's the energy of what's been happening lately. Like there's an attachment that you have on you that just, it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. It feels heavy. It feels awkward. It feels like you're gonna catch on to way more things. It's like it's gonna weigh you down. Ugh. And I'm hearing it like it doesn't go with the outfit. It doesn't go with the outfit. It doesn't go with the outfit. And so, like, sometimes this is a shirt that I don't button it up that often. It mostly just kind of stays on like as a jacket. And it really irks me, but like, have you ever gotten those pants or jackets or whatever? I mean, honestly, it's usually fancy clothes. It's usually suit jackets, suit pockets, dress pants that have sewn pockets. Like the pockets are kind of like whip stitched or tacked down. And it's really just to give the illusion of a pocket, but they want the fabric to lay right. And you can cut it open and there's a functional pocket in there, but then like you're going to get the garment, it might not maintain its integrity because it might sag or, you know, it's a more delicate fabric. And that really pisses me off, you know? I'm just like, why would someone put a pocket in here and then make it non-functional? Like, that's absurd. Just make it strong enough to begin with. And I feel like this is a day and age where it's like, it's a decorative buttonhole. You don't need those buttons, right? Like, right now, it's better to close that up and yeah, and just, and let whatever garments or other buttons or like whatever connection just continue to pass you by, and learn that is no longer a place to plug into. That's no longer, some of this does feel sexual, right? No longer a place to plug into. No, this is not the space. And I'm also reminded of a time when I worked at a land trust, which is a nonprofit organization that shepherds and stewards public lands and private lands in the effort of conservation, of preserving natural habitats for people and for animals and for our planet. But anyway, one of the issues that one of our property owners had at this land trust was people would constantly be dumping stuff at their property line. It had gone back 100 years in the hollers and hills of North Carolina, where it was on a curve in the road. They went into a ravine and people would dump things that they couldn't really get rid of otherwise. Mattresses, washing machines, just junk. And the effort that it took for loads of volunteers to clear this space out, but then to maintain, like, people would still come in the middle of the night and you could put up a camera or, you know, whatever. They put up beautiful signs eventually to help people learn that although you could do it in the past, you cannot dump here anymore. And sometimes it takes a physical closure, sometimes it takes a fence, but sometimes it takes like embroidery, right? Like sometimes it takes putting an applique on. Sometimes it takes beautifying a wound or a place where someone can kind of hook into and attach to you. Sometimes it takes planting flowers in that space or making it so lovely that not only are you drawing value, you are investing value and intention into this space that previously was a thorn in your side. It changes your energetic attunement to that space, right? If this is like, I'm thinking for me relationally, it's like, okay, well, this is this father wound or this space that I felt pain from and has hurt me in the past before. I can reorient and say, what a beautiful place that is. What a beautiful experience it was that it taught me this lesson, that it taught me to value myself, that it taught me to show up for who I am. It taught me to not wait for others to protect me or to hold me or to nourish me, but it taught me that I am capable of doing all of that for myself. Like, that's planting flowers in that space, right? And when I plant flowers in that space, not only does it reorient myself to that, but it also, if someone comes along energetically to this place where they're kind of looking to get their rocks off, or to indulge themselves, or to just dump refuse, to dump their own trauma and their own hurt and pain that they are no longer willing to deal with, or don't want to, or just need to be pushed to deal with, right? This is their junk drawer. You cannot put your junk drawer in my junk drawer. You can't put, I don't know, it kind of brings, like, if you come to a space that is so clean and clear and well taken care of, it's a lot more difficult to really own that. Yeah, by putting all my trauma and my yucky stuff here, I would be really ruining kind of a beautiful thing. It brings some social accountability. It brings some healthy self-examination that could potentially lead to shame for people who are bringing refuse to a beautiful public park that is planted over with flower beds, because to dump that stuff there, you would crush the flowers, right? And then you have to live with, not only am I offloading stuff that I should really be dealing with here, but I'm also actively destroying and working against someone else's hard-won intention. Or not hard-won, but like intentional intention, energetic, like big energetic input. So that's what I'm feeling here. The second thing was cuties, like the citrus fruit. It's citrus fruit season because we are in the depth of the time where we usually don't see the sun, and citrus can give us so much vitamin D in a time when we are really wanting and needing it. But I see these little cuties, those mini, which I also feel like came up last week too. We're very in it. Or maybe the week before, I'm not sure, but they're in a Ziploc baggie and it doesn't feel right. And it's just difficult for these fruits. Like if these citrus fruits, right, are in a Ziploc baggie put on a countertop, they are so not able to access and input their contribution to our energetic zone, right? Because the plastic is kind of a dense layer, and this is a kind of channeling that I'll often do in groups of, like, I don't know, energetics around us that don't have to do with us individually. I mean, this is impacting us, but basically when we put anything in a plastic bag, this feels like a PSA, when we put anything in a plastic bag, the energetics are disrupted. And yes, it can be helpful in the preservation process when we want to buffer or limit from something stinky or yucky that we don't really want to touch very much. But when it comes to good things that we want to, that are heightening, when it comes to new, fresh energy that's like really heightening our vibration, that is contributing to us, we want to get that stuff out of plastic bags, unless you have an environment that is overstimulated, overwhelmed, and needs some quarantining or cordoning off. Plastic bags, like plastic comes from petroleum. Petroleum comes from the ground. The petroleum is dead plants and animals from millions of years ago, super duper long time ago. And it's a really helpful process, because yes, energetics and space and time are like kind of all a googly goggly mess, right? Because when we put something in plastic, the energy that is like these oranges that are like fuming out, right? That are dying, really, like that are putting off their scent to be attractive to others so they can get eaten and consumed and contribute their energy to our bodies, and to our worlds. That call to action, right? That, hey, I'm over here, that comes from the scent of an orange, that comes from the energetic wafting of an orange sitting open on a, like, sitting uncovered on a table. It can, that, like, we can hear it better. We can hear it when it's out in the open. We can't hear it as well when it's wrapped up in plastic, because it's plastic. It has to get through the plastic, and the plastic is so old, and it's kind of like a time port, teleport to prehistoric time, to the animals and plants that created this, and biological matter that created this petroleum, that fermented for millennia to then become plastic that we form and use today. And so it just, I don't know why this is coming out, but when we put something fresh, oranges are fresh new information. It is information that has only been on this planet for a pretty short time, as far as, like, yes, their energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's just, like, moved around, and even that has some caveats to it. But when something is born, when a seed comes into life, when cells propagate and become born from one another, they get fresh energetic information, fresh soul information, fresh divine source information comes into these beings, creatures. And it's so helpful because it's how our bodies stay fueled, stay updated. It's like how kids come in with new technology that adults don't have, right? Kids are always so much more adept. And part of it is because they haven't been exposed to programming. But the other part of it is, like, they just have fresher information. They were in the ethers more recently than we were. And stuff is updating and attuning and fine tuning all the time. And so the point of the matter here is that fresh information from the oranges is going somewhere. It's going into the plastic. It's going, and that plastic can jump space and time to petroleum and back to when it was like dinosaurs and flora and fauna, right? And although it's like a really rocky game of telephone, because the form, not necessarily the time, but the form itself has developed and changed so much. Like, it came from, like, living plant matter to be like ooey gooey petroleum, right? It's like super fermented, super broken down. So it's kind of like speaking over a really long distance connection, but it is informing the beginning stages or way earlier stages of our planet on what is happening now, which is pretty freaking cool. This to say, I don't know, not like be careful what you put in plastic bags. Like, what are we wanting to put in plastic bags? And do we really want to limit things by putting them into plastic bags? I don't know. There's a lot more information there. I feel like it's a little bit too much to get into today. This feels like a specialized topic that I don't know if you guys find interesting. Like, I love diving down these rabbit holes because it's just like, I don't know, this is weird the way stuff works. That is weird and something that I wasn't aware of before. But, yeah, I think we'll probably dive into that deeper in the readings that we do here. We are doing 4 of them today. Let's go ahead and move into that choice process. We're going to label them 1, 2, 3, and 4. A, B, C, and D. A, B, C, and D. Oh, I hear no letters today. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. We are going to do emojis. The second one is going to be an orange. The first one's going to be a lemon. The third one is an apple. And the fourth one is a pear. If you're thinking banana, then go with number 4. So lemon, orange, apple, or pear. Lemon, group 1. Orange, group 2. Apple, group 3. Pear, group 4. Or maybe banana. Pears and bananas. That's not how the song goes, but pears and bananas. All right, my loves. Group one. Group one. All right, my dears. So you guys are lemon group. The first thing I'm seeing here is like, we don't often peel lemons to like take the skin off of them because the skin is so thick and it's got that thick white pith underneath. But if you've ever bartended or if you've ever zested, the familiarity of peeling a lemon and really trying to avoid that pith. I feel like what's happening for you right now is you're trying to, yeah, and this goes with some of the fine-tune precision juncture stuff from the very beginning of really trying to peel the outer layer of life that has all of that, like all the oils. You want all the oils, and almost like if you can zoom in and see a lemon really close, basically the skin has like a bunch of pores and the oil is in the pores. And if you think of peeling it and slicing it in a way that you don't get the whole capsule, but you cut those pores in half and the surface underneath is left with craters that held the oil. It feels like you are opening up your life in a way that you have the capacity to hold more. Like this lemon of like cutting the layer back. Yeah, you don't need that part. I need this part. Okay. Basically the way that you're, opening up your life. So that way there's, almost looks like these little paint, like a watercolor paint holder where it's like it's got like a paint palette holder where it's got those little divots. Or if you've ever been to like a ceramic painting place, they have dishes with little divots that hold liquid paint. And I just feel like your capacity to hold emotional experiences, your capacity to hold different emotions and to really paint your life in a full spectrum of color is ever increasing these days. And bravo to you, because I have to say, holding more than one emotion at a time, I mean, is very common, but holding more than one emotion at a time with separation, with discernment, without the colors getting muddled all together, without the emotions getting muddled all together and kind of taking over and consuming you, takes practice, skill, and development as an emotional human being. And that is what we're made here to do. It's not what all of us choose to focus on, but it is part of our core task and our core ability and our core experience of the planet is to have emotional manipulation of our energetic and our physical bodies, right? Is to allow emotions to not manipulate in a bad way, but to impact and to thread through and to feed through our bio bodies to get different experiences, to get different sensations, and to drive us to respond in different ways. And I feel like your ability to recognize drivers of your response and still make active choice and have willingness of like, yes, I want to consume this. No, I don't want to consume that. Yes, I want to be driven in this way, or no, I'm drawing a boundary here because this is just not what I want to do anymore. Going back to that buttonhole opening, I feel like you have not just the buttonhole, but like the pants, the dress pants that have the pockets that are kind of stitched closed. I feel like you are able to maintain an integrity with yourself so you don't have to stitch those pockets closed. So you can still have the dress pants that look nice and lay right and don't gap, but still have the functionality of the pocket should you need to use it. And I feel like this comes from you practicing and not carrying too much stuff in those pockets, right? You're not overutilizing the functionality of your form. You're not pumping your body full of tumultuous, super intense emotional experiences that run it ragged and that then kind of make you bag out or sag out, or I'm seeing like saggy butt syndrome, right? Which is not actually a syndrome. But just like, you know, when your jeans, I mean, I feel like jeans have gotten so much better these days, but back in the day, I don't know, you just get saggy butt. You get saggy butt in your jeans and then you look like diaperish, right? And I feel like you have really maintained integrity and like kept yourself clean. Like there's no diaper wearing here. You put your waste where it's meant to go. You're discerning with what comes into your life, and you're really efficient at that. And because of that, you are given the capacity to hold so much more, because you're losing less of your capacity to rot. If you've got clean tools and clean equipment, if you've got, like if you're cutting a lemon with a clean lemon peeler, that lemon can sit out on the counter for a while and continue to be harvested from before it starts to grow bacteria, because that peeler doesn't have a bunch of bacteria on it that then colonize the lemon. You just have kept your tools very clean. And I want to draw some attention to, I'm not sure if, like, I do think you have recognized the value of this, but I think that I'm wondering if you might have inherited really clean tools, or you might have inherited a set of well taken care of tools, or you might have been modeled really helpful, healthy, emotional behavior from your teachers, from your parents, from whoever it is in your life that kind of pass these tools down to you. And I want to give you some awareness that obviously, of course, other people don't always inherit such clean tools. Some people don't inherit tools at all, right? Sometimes the tools that people inherit are already rusted over. And if you've got a lemon peeler that is already has a rust on it, like that is not a surface that you can really clean anymore. Like you can clean it, but it's got so much more space to harbor and hold bacteria. And I think that you've been dealing with some people lately, or you've been dealing with a person in particular who's just not been given these tools the same way, who's learning how to repair dirty tools, right? Because this whole process of taking rust off of metal, like, I don't know, I haven't even learned how to do that yet. That's difficult. It can be done. Is it worth doing? I don't know. It takes a lot of time. It takes the right materials. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of scientific knowledge, right? Or at least someone teaching you how to do that. And I am saying this to you because the people that you are dealing with who might be contaminating your experience or realm, yeah, it's easy to get pissed off and mad at them for that. And I'm asking you to have some appreciation and recognize the value in choosing a path that allows you to develop the know-how to repair dirty tools. That's insane, right? And so this concept of clean, good, dirty, bad, we really need to dissociate and peel back from. We need to divest from that, because those of you who are going around with clean tools have a very important part to do. And it is one that works intricately with those who are working with dirty tools or challenged tools, right? It's a partnership. You work together. Because you both have something to teach each other, and you both have something to learn from each other. And it's also important to do this teaching and learning with a little bit of space, because rust travels quickly. They always say, like, rust in cars is a disease, it's a cancer, right? Once you get a little bit of rust, you can't get unrust unless you remove all the rust, right? You have to cut it out, you have to file it off, there's some kind of electrolysis, or some kind of electrical process that I'll probably link below, that you can do. But until you have a clear field it's important to be prudent and to maintain a little bit of space and distance until you can get a clean bill of health from both parties. And that clean bill of health on the rust side is like, yeah, is it rust free? Is it contaminant free? Okay, good. The clean bill of health on the clean tool side is more psychological. Are you a safe person emotionally to talk to? Are you a safe person? Are you going to shame and damage the other's psyche because they're showing up from a different place? And this is a far more insidious wounding because it is so invisible. Psychological and emotional damage can become seen, and often will become seen if it goes unchecked. But at the beginning stages, it's verbal, it's emotional, and it's energetic abuse that's in the unseen realm for most part. And so it can be difficult to find a mirror to see yourself in that unseen realm, to see yourself in that unseen, invisible form. And that's where opening a dialogue with the people around you is of high value and importance. Because just like a tool with rust can look in the mirror and be like, oh, I missed a spot. There's some rust there. I need to work on that a little bit more. That's how you do that. That's how you develop and shift and change and grow. Okay. Shifting beyond that as well, there are tools out there that are rusted, that are just looking to get others rusted so that they are not alone in being rusted. And it's almost this kind of thought or mentality that if the whole world is in my position, then no one will ask me to change. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't say yes to that person. Don't say yes to that experience. And don't say yes to that space. Unless that's really the direction. And it is not where you want to go. And if it is where you want to go, then let's have a conversation on the additional on what kind of need and support you're seeking to change that desire. Because I have a feeling in your heart of hearts, that's not what you want to be seeking and not what you want to be searching for. And if that is what you're seeking and want to be searching for, in my mind, it's telling me that we need to get you the belief, the support, and the ability to shift and change your own life and world. And I've been in that place before where you don't believe you can shift and change your life. You don't feel supported that you can shift and change your life in a particular way. And therefore you don't believe you have the ability. And when you don't believe you have the ability, it's a lot harder to have motivation to try different things out to see if you can stumble upon an exit ramp or stumble upon something that gets you out of the situation that you're really not enjoying being in. All right, my darlings. I'm going to plug Betterhelp here again because I love therapy. It's so helpful. It's a great tool. There are amazing counselors and therapists nationwide outside of this program. And I behoove you to go find yourself a local therapist. Find yourself someone that's in their own practice that is working, on their own to provide excellent care. And if that feels inaccessible or beyond your capacity, Betterhelp is a really good way to, and I'm not sponsored by them, I've just experienced it. I've had therapy from individual private practitioners before. I've had therapy within like higher education institutions like school therapists, school counselors. I've experienced stuff through Betterhelp, and I've also been through part of a master's program for clinical mental health counseling. So I was started training to become a therapist at one point in my life. And it's just a really good thing. It can be a really helpful tool, and it can be an incredible amount of objective support that can be really honest and clear with you if that is what you need in your life. So I'm going to plug that. Check it out. And let me know how it's going. Let me know how you're doing. And I'm proud of you for being here and continuing to show up. All right, babes. Be good. Have a great week. And I will see you next time. Group 2, my little oranges. Sweet little baby oranges. All right, y'all. Okay, I don't know if you've ever picked a fruit. It can be any kind of fruit, but I'm thinking of apples now, but like how you kind of like twist and pull. And sometimes fruit, even berries, like this will even happen to berries. Like it's not time yet. It doesn't want to come off the plant. And there are different levels of ripeness. And now I'm seeing like an orange come off. And you know how like an orange's little belly button, like if you can imagine like kids, like babies that are born, newborns, their umbilical cord stump comes off when it's time, right? And a lot of times, like fruits that are picked early, that connection point isn't ready to let go. So a lot of times the twist and pull will break off that branch, break off that, like the end of like part of the branch where the fruit is growing on. And that's how you get that branch with the two, I don't know why it's two or the one, whatever, with the green leaves that are there, right? Is because it's a little bit early. It's a little bit early for that branch to let go of the fruit. But because of our consumption processes and because sometimes, it is also not just big farming, but it's also like, you're out at that. This can happen on a family, like an individual basis of like, I'm out at the orange tree now. I'm harvesting now. I'm not going to come back when this fruit is ready to come off the tree. I'm not going to let it rot. I'm pulling it now a little bit early. I think you're in a situation now where you're trying to harvest a little bit too soon. And my question to you is, can you come back to that fruit tree when it's ready to fall off? Because it's not this case every way or every day or every time or every season or every year, but this time it matters. It really matters. It's really that extra gestation time, that extra growth time is super important in this case and circumstance. I'm not saying that it's going to be this way when you come across this situation again. And I'm saying this because I do think you have the capacity to come back to this situation, experience, relationship, moment, whatever this is in your life. I think you can come back to this in 2 to 6 weeks and have a different time. The benefit of, because I know that I don't think you're going to want to do this. So the benefit of coming back later is a sweeter fruit. The pulp and the pith is like the pulp of the fruit, like it's not going to be as tough, right? The communication that you're going to experience in this environment, way less difficult. The feelings, the emotions, the serotonin, dopamine, like all the happy chemicals hits that you're going to get are going to be so much more gratifying, so much more consuming, so much more nourishing, so much more healing. I really want you to have that experience. the world, the earth, the collective, the, you know, the higher ups want you to have that experience, because it's important for you to bring that to others. Because I have a feeling that you're like, I don't know, like an orange juice maker, right? And that your whole thing is taking the juice to other people. Whatever the situation is in your life, I feel like if you are not already, you will become perhaps not an expert, but a connoisseur of this kind of experience. And you'll show up in your friend groups, in your family, to your clients with experience in this kind of realm or opportunity. And come on, and do you want to be peddling cookies out of a box, or do you want to be peddling cookies that were made from real ingredients and have a shelf life and are going to go bad way sooner than the ones in plastic wrap are, because they're made from real things and because they have real energetic and biological impact? That's what you, I mean, if that's not what you want, then get on board, because that's what we need, okay? Like, our world is less about letting everybody eat, right? And we're shifting more into a time, because there is more than enough food to go around, right? We don't need to be figuring out how to package foods more creatively so it can get further. We have the infrastructure, and we have the technology, and we have the ever-loving money to eat more healthily without degrading our food. And this is food literally, but this is also metaphorically. We have the capacity as a global culture to experience life, period. Right? We all have, there's enough to go around that we all should have the ability to experience good life. And so we need to stop making up new products, and we need to start paring down and focusing on what really nourishes our soul. And that is going to be grassroots, it's going to be local, and it's going to be accessible. And if we are trying to preserve something that is accessible in one location, to try and transplant it to another part of the world where it doesn't organically grow, it doesn't need to be there. We have the ability to move humans from place to place, and we should be doing that as opposed to moving products from place to place. Yeah. Yeah. Airline travel is, I'm hearing there's not a dollar to be made on airline travel compared to consumer products. Consumer products are like a far bigger industry than modes of transportation. It doesn't have to just be airplane travel. It can be, bicycles, This is where we need to rectify, that aspect of our life. And I do feel like, I don't mean to mention that to take us off topic, because it is a whole nother can of worms that we can get into, but I do feel like it matters, because transportation and the way that you interact, like the way that you walk out into the world and interact with your environment, does feel really important. It feels like that's another aspect of, it feels like that's the modality that you use to exercise your work in the world, which is like picking things when they're ripe, or getting the most authentic, getting a more authentic human experience for all humans in the world. And I think that it comes down to the vehicles by which we choose to experience life. This can look like a lot of ways. Like, this can look literal in how we're talking about, but this can also be very metaphorical. For some of you, I'm seeing like thought processes. Thought processes are the way that humans interact with their environments around them, right? It's like we can drop two people into the exact same room and they can have wildly different experiences of that room based on their internal monologue and their internal dialogue, right? We could put two people into a grocery store or a supermarket, and it can be amazing to one and terrible to another, and a lot of that is about our internal process. And so for some of you, it's about nourishing and nurturing and clipping and like bonsai tree shaping our internal mental process, because our internal mental process is the vehicle through which we interact with the world around us. And if we can get that invisible structure in our minds rectified and like tuned in and tuned up and like honed in, then we have a far greater ability to travel to different environments and read and respond in a fulfilling way. Okay, I hope that's landing and makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. I'm always interested in feedback, so I guess I should modify that. Not always. Not if you're going to be an asshole, then just be an asshole. That's fine. But always interested to see how things are landing. I know sometimes it can get pretty heady. It should all be landing, like it should all be making sense. And if it doesn't and needs different delivery, like I want to hear about that from you. So yeah, because this is in service, right? And it's got to work for both of us. Okay. So that's how it looks like for some of you guys. I hear one of you guys, maybe it's literally only one person, and that's awesome. That is great, because that's what I'm here for. It's the one and the many. For other people, it can literally be like access. And I mean, the mental thing is access. It's about ensuring you get a certain type of access. But it can be like, is someone traveling through their community by bicycle, by bus, by car, by walking on their feet? Because depending upon what kind of community you live in, those are wildly different experiences. Someone who has a car to get places can pick up resources in a different way that someone is walking on their feet can, and has different access and opportunities. And it's really just about matching the way someone accesses with the proper location, right? Because if you don't have a car, then like, yeah, let's set you up in a space where it's really easy to walk and get everything you need. You don't want a car? Let's do the same thing. You know what I mean? It's not just about, do I have this haves versus wants, like in access versus like by choice or by circumstance. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're well suited for your environment. And if you're not well suited in the environment you're in, what kind of shifts need to happen? And I feel like you are in a position where you bridge a lot of those gaps, like the social work vibes. I think you get it, because this can look like a lot of different things in the 3D, but energetically it should feel very familiar. All right, group 2. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate your time and presence. If you want to continue this work one-on-one, find out how to work with me below. And yeah, I think this can be really gratifying work in the world. I love that you're aware of what you do. And I love that you're aware of what you do. And if you want additional insight into really recognizing aspects of the work that you do, give me a shout, because I love supporting people and understanding their impact more deeply, because it's a lot easier to recognize yourself and get appropriate recognition and just put yourself in the right environment when you know more of what you do. So, power to the people, babes. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, group 3. Hi, group 3. Apples. All right. The first thing I hear is like apples and oranges. It's like comparing apples and oranges. It's like, yes, they're both fruits. They're very different. Different structure, different taste, different seasons, different colors, different shapes. Yeah, stop comparing yourself. It's not helpful. It is not helpful. We do not want that. And then I'm seeing like, oh boy, like big agriculture and monocropping, which is when you plant only one kind of crop or only one option. It really just sucks from the land, depletes, like it just cheats everybody, right? We want permaculture forest gardens, you know, we love it. Permaculture is when a lot of different kinds of plants grow in close proximity to each other, and it creates a more balanced ecosystem because, I don't know, it's like there's a holy trinity where it's like corn and squash and something else, and the corn provides a structure for the squash to grow up, and there's nitrogen, you know, they provide different nutrients to each other. They take different nutrients. It feeds the soil better. It's way more sustainable. And why are we talking about this? Because when you compare yourself to other, like, it's just not helpful. Stop doing it. Stop it. We don't want you to be like other people. The whole point is that you're not like other people, right? And that other people aren't like you. Stop trying to make other people interact with the world in the same way that you do, because that's creating a monoculture. That's creating a single crop. And that just, doesn't lead to good tasting fruit. Doesn't set the land up for use for next season. Really increases the likelihood that a pest or a blight could come along and wipe everything out, and then people starve, okay? So I want you to start leaning into the most unique aspects of who you are. Like, go get a piece of paper, or like, better yet, a poster board, right? And start either making a mind map or collaging or just putting into physical form. I mean, if this is like you going around and collecting different objects from your house or your space or your environment or your outside world that represent all the super unique aspects of you, like, yes, do that. We need show and tell, but you edition. And we want to hear the most unique, intrinsic, foundational, keystone aspects of who you are. There's this term in ecology, that it's called endemic. And when a species is endemic to a place, it only exists there. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And a keystone species is one that is foundational for a space. And I have the feeling that not only are you endemic, but you are keystone as well. So not only do you naturally belong in a place and you're found in that place and not really found anywhere else, this is for a reason. I can't remember exactly what read it was. I feel like it was this one right before, it was a group 2 maybe, talking about relocating people to the right place that they need to be. It's not forever, it's just for a time, because you have to remember, like, you cannot forget your value and worth. And whatever is going on right now, I feel like you're at risk of losing that. It's not what we want to happen. So go, in whatever way you're going to do it, and talk about or write down or put outside of your body so you can see it, and then put it back inside your body with your eyeballs, the most unique aspects of who you are. What is it that you can bring to the table that no one else can, or that you bring to the table with a really particular unique flavor? I'm not asking about if other people like it or not, and I am asking for you to write it down even if other people don't like it. especially if other people don't like it, because there's information there to be had. I'm not saying you should stop doing it, and I'm not saying you should do those things with blatant disregard for other people's experiences, because we're opting for sustainability here. We want something that can happen over and over and over again, repeatable, that can be developed, and that can evolve over time, right? And something that constantly causes an immense amount of friction is not sustainable. It needs a different environment, it needs a different distance, it needs a different relationship, or it needs a different execution. And I fully believe that you have the intelligence and the capacity to figure out what needs tweaking, but you're never going to get to what tweaks need to happen either by you or where you choose to put yourself. So that way other people are not going to be tweaking if you are being yourself. But you're never going to get there if you're not aware of what that is, if you're not aware of those aspects of who you are, and if you're not willing to accept them for what they are, which is a God-given gift, right? Dandelions are a God-given gift, but if we put them in tight asses garden beds, they will get pissed off about it, right? Dandelions are beautiful, and they are stunning in the right environments where they can be appreciated, right? But in other environments, they're seen as pests, they're seen as weeds, and people literally take poison and dump it all over them, right? So in this story, we want the dandelions to be where the groundhogs are, where they need to be eaten, where medicinal students and teachers can harvest their medicine. You know what I mean? And we need to get them out of suburbia where they're seen as a weed, and where they are actively combated and fought against. Because your job, time, and energy don't need to be spent fighting to stay alive. It's not for you. All right, my dears, what else is happening in this group today? I do get a lot of planting seeds energy, and at first it came from like one of those dandelion seeds, and you know how it's like a little oblong shaped seed with like an umbrella on top, and it almost felt like that umbrella was like a needle, and like you could kind of like poke it into the ground, and then like the little puff on top. This concept of like laying flags where you plant seeds, feeling important. Not forever, just till they get started. I feel like you haven't wanted to denote or to mark out, is that a word? I don't think it is. To mark out where, yeah, demarcation, that's a word. I feel like you've been hesitant to mark out where you've planted your seeds before, because people have actively gone up, and it's like the squirrels like digging up acorns, right? And I think that previously you might have thought people are like actively trying to like undermine you or like unsow your sown seeds, and it's really like, no, dude, they're squirrels. They're hungry. They're just hungry, and what they're not understanding is that while you're trying to plant trees, they're trying to just eat fruits. They're just trying to get through the season. You're thinking like 20 years down the road, right? And the challenge is that we're in a place where we don't have a lot of organization where we can talk about, okay, what are our needs now and what are our needs in the future? And let's make sure that everyone has access to getting their needs met now, so that way we can make leaps and bounds, and we can have more intentional, deeper investments that are not disrupted or dug up, so that way in 20 years we can have even more food in abundance, or we have to work less hard to get it. The world's not at that place in time, and more of this is like, you just need to be in the right communities to be thinking that way. You know what I mean? All right. The next thing I see was like Johnny Appleseed wearing a pot on his head, planting apple seeds all up and down the East Coast. I do feel like whatever traveling you do, whatever like moving between different environments, and this can be like across countries or across cities and towns, or this could really even just be on your commute to and from wherever you commute to on the daily or on the weekly. But I do feel like, and the image that I'm getting of Johnny Appleseed right now, I don't know much about him. We never met personally. I don't think. Maybe we did. I don't know. But the image that I'm getting of Johnny Appleseed is very much like beat his own drum, kind of a pothead, metaphorically speaking, just like not always there. I feel like he was like drinking hard cider or something like that. Like he was a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But unequivocally like had a really important job to do, you know, and realistically likely enjoyed himself as he was doing it. Was not understood by people around him. All right, so this might be a totally inaccurate representation of Johnny Appleseed, but we'll just go with the story for now, right? Do your own research. Don't take this as fact, okay? I just feel like you could use some of this energy right now, because why not enjoy yourself? Who cares? Who cares? Are you really that emotionally invested in our current societal experience and standing that you're going to take away from your own enjoyment to fit in more? Babe, that is not who you is. That is not who you are. And if that's how you're acting, if that's what you're needing to do right now, then like, is that who you are? Like, ask yourself that question, because I don't think it is. And if it is, then more power to you. But I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I don't think you were meant to come here to conform. And I don't think that's what suits you. And as someone who also feels that pressure sometimes, like sometimes it just takes someone reminding us of like, are you really having a good time right now? Is this really who you are? Does this feel authentic to you? And being like, oh shoot, no, I kind of got carried away. I kind of got lost in the sauce. Like I got whipped up with all this stuff. Thank you so much for seeing me and recognizing me and reminding me that I want to be seeing and recognizing me. And I want to be making sure that I've got my eyes open for opportunities that give me joy. Because what gives me joy as Johnny Appleseed is going to be different than whatever colonial normie was hanging out at the time, you know? Different strokes for different folks. And just because I'm surrounded by people who get enjoyment from different things, like yes, I can go enjoy those things too, but I want to make sure that I am only enriching and adding to my life. I want to make sure that I'm not missing opportunities, like being outside, like sleeping under a tree, like, I don't know, Johnny Appleseed activities, right? Like going skinny dipping or catching fish, right? I want to make sure that I'm not giving up opportunities that really fulfill me and remind me of the shape and essence of who I am, because that is what will fuel me in continuing to do the job that I came here to do. And not the job that I came here to do in the sense of like, you got to meet this deadline and we got to do the quarterly reports. And, you know, it's like our souls aren't going to be pissed at us, but it's about exercising our spirit. And when it comes to exercising in the true sense of in the true essence of it, it's about getting yourself out there so that way your body can experience enjoyment in a way that lights it up, that other ways that just don't do it, you know? Like, yes, there's exercising to go get fit and to go to the gym and to look a certain way. And that's not bad. If looking a certain way is what lights our bodies up, like lights our psyches up, like that mastery of our physical form, like, yes, that's awesome. Do it, right? But don't be going to the gym to look a certain way because everybody else tells you that that's what you should do because society expects that from you. If it doesn't fulfill you, then don't do it. And or if going to the gym, if what really makes you feel good about that is the way your body feels during the process, then that's your motivator, right? It can look different ways for different people. Two people can be going to the gym, really enjoying it for different reasons. Just the importance here is to make sure you stay connected to the reason that you have deep fulfillment, because that will inevitably keep you on path and continue to set you up against opportunities that are going to develop and light you up even more, that are going to connect you with the right people, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Thank you guys. See you at the closing message. Big hearts. All right. Group 4. Hi, Group 4. Okay, banana babies. Your signifier was pear, but I think we're talking about bananas in here today, which is great. Pears are delicious. Oh my gosh, Harry and David pears are delicious. I don't know where those grow, but someone needed to hear that. Go get you some. I think it's probably the end of Harry and David pear season. I don't know. Anyway, all right, so bananas. Talking about bananas. Oh boy. Okay, you know how you can kind of peel a banana 2 ways? I mean, probably you can peel a banana more than 2 ways, but we're just going to get into the 2 that I'm thinking of right now. The one that I'm going to call the classic way, which is the little nub at the top, pulling it, cracking it back and pulling it down. And then the other way, which I feel like is kid friendly, because sometimes it takes a lot of strength, or sometimes it's like, you know, kind of hard to get the one at the top. Like sometimes it just is a little too fibrous up there, but you flip the banana over and squish the bottom and then peel it back that way. And I don't know about you, but the seed part of a banana, that nub at the bottom, is it the seed? I don't know. I always thought it was a seed, but I'm not sure if it is. But anyway, that part always seems kind of icky to me. I don't like eating it. I don't think most people really do. But this is like how you're going about tasks right now of it's like there's a top-down way, right? It doesn't always work so well. The good part is that you don't have to deal with the icky stuff first. It's a little cleaner, but it doesn't always work. And I feel like you're hitting a situation right now where it's one of those where it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. And you got to flip it over and start bottom up. And this feels like, I mean, you'll know how this hits in your life, but if you need a little more guidance into that zone, it feels like one that is dealing with deep-seated root trauma, historical unbecomings, lineage work, stuff, the sludge at the bottom of the psyche. What do they say? Like, you got to eat the worm, or like, I don't know. It's like bite the bullet, or when you start with the ickiest part first. And this is a little bit like that junk drawer cleaning from the Chit Chat. Sometimes it's best to just choose the dirtiest part of the house, or the task. You eat the frog. That's what it is. I don't know why we're eating frogs, but that's the way that it goes. You got to start with like the nastiest part or the worst part. And I don't think that this is something that you used to do in the past, because I don't think you thought you could make it through it. I don't think you thought that you were strong enough, or that you had the staying power or the capacity or the ability. I don't think you trusted yourself. And I'm here to say my dears that day has changed. That day and rhythm and path and routine and belief is no longer serving. And I would ask you, it would behoove you to try and do the worst thing first, because I think you'll surprise yourself. I think that you'll really find it astonishing the way that you read and respond to a situation that didn't feel like it'd go that way before. Leaps and bounds, I'm hearing. Leaps and bounds. And now I'm seeing just like the cow that jumped over the moon. It felt like a rabbit at first, but the cow that jumped over the moon. And why the cow is jumping over the moon, where that came from, I have no idea. That's crazy. That's so far away. It feels like it's related to counting sheep and barnyard stuff in space. I do feel like you kind of feel out of place, like you are the cow jumping over the moon. You're doing something impossible. I also feel like your compatriots are like the sheep getting counted, right? It feels like you're in otherworldly land right now where, I don't know, shit is just wild. It's all over the place. You're feeling confused, but I think you're at the right place at the right time. I think you're where you're supposed to be. You're right on cue. If anything, you're a few moments before or behind. But this process of your life right now is about falling into like perfect timing or perfect step. So it's less about, you're shooting less for perfection and more for presence. You're shooting more for like showing up and being there and doing things wrong and making mistakes. Like the important part is that you're there and you're willing and that you're learning how to get it done. What else? I'm seeing someone like come in and water your plants. Let's follow this all the way through. It feels thready right here, guys. All right, I think there might be someone in your close environment right now that is not able, just that doesn't have the sight to see the things the way you need them to be seen, or the way, I don't know. You've got someone in your environment, and it's not like, I don't think they're doing things maliciously. I just don't think that they're able to show up in the way that you'd like them to. And there's no problem to ask for additional support here. There's no problem in asking others to contribute in a way that feels important. Just because this person that's closest, it like, I don't know, it feels happenstantially like they're present. Oh, just because they're there doesn't mean you need to rely on them. And you have autonomy and authority over your space, and you can enlist additional support however you need. I feel like this is kind of like, the energy I'm getting is like, you're put on a task or you're put on a job, and it's like you want your partner to be right. You want to be able to trust your partner. It's like one of those like cop or detective shows or something where it's like, yeah, I'll do the job and I'll get this really bad guy, but I'm gonna need this person. Like, Captain, you got to give me this person on my team. And they're like, okay. And this is a reminder of like, you get to choose your team. You get to choose your team. You are the one making the choice. Just because you've got a lot of dummies around you does not mean you got to choose those people. That you do not choose your team based on proximity. You choose your team based on needs, value, and worth. And I feel like this is something that's a little bit new to you, of really asserting your own willingness and maybe ruffling some feathers, maybe like, yeah. Not being liked, not having to focus so much on being liked feels important right now. It's kind of like the imagery at the beginning with the flipped up banana of like, not being afraid of the icky stuff, not being afraid of like, yeah, taking the yuck out. And I think that's kind of the theme of like the confrontation that you're in right now, is like really confronting. And this is like, again, ties back to the junk drawer of like, not being afraid of what you might find, and not being put off about what needs to get done and not being worried about being the villain, not malicious, but just being honest with yourself and honest with the people around you, because I feel like there's a deeper capacity to learn and grow and to be honest with people. Okay, my dears, I think that's it. I feel like, yeah, let me know how this one landed. I feel like we jumped around a little bit and I'm not sure if it all, let me know how it landed. Okay, let's go ahead and close up our connection today. In love and light, I thank our masters, teachers, and loved ones for their information and guidance. Amen, amen, amen. The records are closed. Okay, the last thing I see is, I wonder if this has come through recently too. I'm not sure. It's like, have you ever used one of those old credit card sliders, where, actually, I don't think they even make credit cards this way anymore, so they must not even be able to use, which is, what a pain. Credit cards having those raised bumps, so that way you could put I think they're usually tri sheets, like a pink, a yellow, and a white slip all on top of each other, and then you take a heavy thing, and it basically is like taking a sketching, or taking, like, if you've ever done a crayon rubbing of a leaf or something like that, it's the same concept of like making multiple copies of the same thing all at one time. I feel like a little bit of batch creation, batch processing is happening. This concept of like red receipts and like passing out pink slips. I think all those kind of stand on their own and are like the final stamp of messages that people are needing. So we're not going to get into explanation there. Yeah, the last thing I want to address, it came up just now, of hand motions and movements. It moves energy, the hand motions and movements, and I'm not exactly, it goes the way that I'm told to do it, you know? Sign language has the capacity to do this as well. And it's just interesting to see what language can tell us about the energetic motions behind it. Okay, guys. Last notes there. Thank you so much for coming. It's so good to see you. And yeah, I hope you guys are well. Take care. Bye.